The show is brought to you by Boat Patana of Boat Avenue and Shambhala, Phuket. For more information on their properties, see the link in the description below. Good morning, Thailand. Welcome to the middle of the week program, and I hope you're having a great time wherever you are, what time of the day it is. It could be afternoon, could be early evening, but welcome to you, and welcome to Jay.
Good morning.
All right, so plenty to get through today. Also, thanks to our sponsors, Shambhala at Boat Patana. I really appreciate you being along for the ride. Just an update on our I Am Strong campaign. What do you think we're up to? Don't look at the screen.
No, we're about 23,000.
No, we're up to 25,192 Singapore dollars, which is well over halfway to our target of 41,000 Singapore dollars, and that's about $1 million Thai baht, which is our target for the campaign. Why Singapore dollars? It's because the Thaiger is a Singapore company, and we want to keep everything transparent and make sure it goes into the correct accounts, all going through the gogetfunding.com page. And we'll leave a link to that under this program. All right, hit us with the COVID numbers for the day.
All right, so for today, we have another record high of 20,200 new COVID infections and another high of 188 COVID-related deaths.
So that's the 20,000 milestone. That's sort of going to be another...
This is the first time we've gone into the 20s.
It's a psychological barrier, I think, that we didn't really want to move through, but here we are.
From those 20,200 cases, only 187 of them are from prison inmates.
Okay, but people have recovered, and we want to report those numbers as well.
Yes, a total of 17,975 people have now been diagnosed recovered, and since the start of April 1st, the main time that the Delta variant started, a total of 428,380 people have been recovered.
So I think what we're looking for is the number of people recovering going higher than the number of people being infected. That's obviously the sort of the change in the numbers that we want.
That would be ideal, yes.
Also, we need to remind people that there are still over 1,000 people on ventilators at the moment in Thai hospitals. So our thoughts with them and their families. Okay, also the highest numbers today have been reported in Bangkok, in Chonburi and Samut Sakhon. Samut Sakhon, of course, was the location of the second outbreak back in December. I think it was first announced on December the 20th. And that's the sort of the fisheries area, the markets, the fish markets, southwest of Bangkok, down on the coast. All right, just a quick clarification. Yesterday, you mentioned, I think, in the restrictions, something about private and public pools.
Yes.
What did you say?
Well, swimming pools are closed to private and public. That's what the news was.
Yeah, and we couldn't quite figure out what private pools meant. Well, the clarification is that if you're in a hotel that's got a proper operating license, in other words, a proper hotel license, then they can keep their pools open. So if you are in a pool, in a hotel, if hopefully you're in a pool too, it is legal. And you can go for a swim in the ocean, but watch out for the red flags. Also, just another metric we should tell people about this morning. Do you do currency trading or anything?
No, not really.
No, I don't have any currency to trade. But the US dollar today, the Thai baht to the US dollar has gone over 33 baht to the dollar. It's the first time it's been there since April 2020. And I think the time before that was back in May 2018 to reach this level. And I think we're probably going to see a bit more of movement. The next big one will be if it goes to 34 baht to the dollar, which will be the highest in half a decade.
Yes.
All right, so we've got plenty to talk about in the program. We'll come back with the major headlines from around Thailand after we check our local headlines with Jay.
A volunteer ranger is killed in a grenade attack by suspected insurgents in Narathiwat in the south of Thailand. Hemp-flavored ice cream hits the Thai food markets, but sorry folks, no THC in this recipe. A man in Samut Prakan dies in a possible self-inflicted fire. An AirAsia technician is arrested for allegedly stealing electronics. transport company announces bus services are suspended until August 31st. And welcome back to Good Morning Thailand, and now cutting to Tim for today's top stories.
Nokia has submitted a petition keeping the flights from Phuket to Utapao going past tomorrow after Utapao Airport in Rayong fell into a dark red zone over the weekend. Nokia was flying flights to 5 destinations around Thailand from the Utapao hub to get around the transport ban out of dark red zones, but was given an extension until tomorrow. Now they're seeking special approval from the CAAT to service people who need to get from Phuket Sandbox to the capital. Nokia's CEO said if shuttle bus services are allowed to serve passengers from Phuket, airlines should be able to do likewise. Restaurant operators, particularly in the 29 provinces designated as dark red zones, are calling on the government to consult with them before deciding on new restrictions that affect their businesses. They say inconsistent government measures are making it difficult for restaurants to operate. The government announced tighter restrictions, banning dine-in services at restaurants in shopping centres in dark red zones. Shopping centres and department stores have to stay closed now, except for supermarkets, pharmacies and vaccination stations within their walls. On Monday, the CCSA decided to ease restrictions for affected restaurants and eateries at shopping centres, allowing them to sell food through delivery apps. Thailand's cabinet has approved an additional 30 billion baht in relief measures for people hit by tougher restrictions as the government grapples with the latest COVID surge. The cabinet met yesterday and decided to roll out additional welfare payments for people in the 29 dark red zones. There was a 4.3 magnitude earthquake registered yesterday in the Andaman Sea between the Nicobar Island and Phuket, but there's been no reports from population centres closest to the quake site. Volcano Discovery reports the rumble was centred 297 kilometres below the surface. There's been quite a lot of minor seismic activity along the Southeast Asian portion of the so-called Ring of Fire circling the Pacific Ocean during the past week. I didn't feel anything. The state-run transport company has announced that all interprovincial bus services will be suspended until the end of this month. Now, interprovincial public transportation out of the 29 dark red zones, including Bangkok, is not allowed. A spokesman says the restrictions are officially until August 16th, but likely to be extended until the end of the month if the situation doesn't improve. Some 9,000 tourists have reserved hotel rooms in Phuket for August, lower than the expected 25,000 to 30,000 tourists in the second month of the Sandbox program. During the first month of the program, some 14,000 rooms were booked, but the surge of both national and island cases, plus the latest restrictions on activities on the island, is forcing some tourists to cut their holidays short or cancellation of plans to travel to Phuket. Now time to check in with the regional headlines, then back with Jay to check on your comments on Good Morning Thailand.
A total of 98 new locally transmitted COVID-19 cases were found in Singapore, a new cluster at Changi General Hospital. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has appeared with a bandage on the back of his head, stoking speculation about the dear leader's health. Authorities in Wuhan say they will test its entire population for COVID after the city reports its first local infections in more than a year. A top Japanese doctor from Japan Medical Association urges nationwide state of emergency amid COVID-19 surge in Olympic host city, Tokyo. Thai authorities step up security with Malaysia following an attack in the deep south Tak Bai district. 1 ranger killed and 4 soldiers wounded.
You're on Good Morning Thailand, middle of the week. Thank you very much for joining us, Jay and me here to bring you up to date with what's going on. Time for the comments. We've got a few good ones today.
Yes.
This first one, Carden Rybald, and he's referring to the story about hemp-flavoured ice cream.
Yes.
Which we had in the Thaiger yesterday. He said, "What's the point of it? You won't get a buzz. Just a way to sell more sugary poison. CBD is for medicine. This sort of thing is just a waste." Have you tried this ice cream?
No, it's not something I'd be interested in. But
They're calling it hemp ice cream.
I guess it's just a sensation of it tasting like hemp and weed, I guess.
Well, how does it taste?
I'm not quite sure because I mean, it's just meant to be smoked, isn't it? I mean, and I know people eat it, but they eat it because they want to get the sensation of feeling high rather than it tastes good.
So the question is, does hemp have a taste? I have no idea.
I have no idea as well.
I think it's just a bit of a novelty, isn't it?
It's like when you're a kid and you want to do something that you're not supposed to. You get those cigarette candy bars, and then you pretend like you're smoking.
Do you know what they used to be called in Australia?
No.
I'm not sure what they're called now, but they used to be called fags.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, isn't the cigarette called a fag?
Well, yes, that's the nickname.
Okay.
So they actually called those candy cigarettes fags. Okay. So that was thought to be politically incorrect sometime about 20 years ago, and they changed them. I don't know what they're called now. Candy-flavoured cigarettes that kids walk around with. All right, so good luck with that. Thank you, Carden, for your comment. Alex A., he had a comment yesterday, and he was talking about Good Morning Thailand yesterday. His comment was very simple. He said, Tim Newton, cringe, ooh. Or is that ooh or ooh?
It was more of a ew.
EWWW. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate your comment. I have no idea what you mean, but I suspect it's probably not good. All right, now this one's interesting. From GV. He said, wow, this guy from Singapore speaks so good English. I think he's referring to KP Ho, who appeared on Thailand News Today yesterday, talking up the Phuket Sandbox and its significance. He said, just like people from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, etc., how come Thai people are so incredibly bad at English? I think Thailand is the Asian country with the least English-speaking people, despite it being, or was, a tourist country. Everywhere I go, shops, restaurants, officials, even expat cities like Hua Hin or Pattaya. Terrible. Well, where do we start? GV. This is a really interesting one. Okay, so I spend most of my time in Phuket and Bangkok, and I don't usually have much of a problem with people speaking English. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be the same once you get out of the major tourist areas.
Yes.
He says even places like Pattaya and Hua Hin, terrible. What's your feeling about this? I mean, you speak Thai, so it's easy for you.
Yeah, it's easy for me, I guess, to communicate with people. But I guess it's a difference between expectation and reality. I understand what he means. As a tourist, he expects to come to a tourist area and he wants to be able to communicate because it can be very frustrating to travel and to eat. But the reality is that you are a foreigner coming to a foreign country where people speak a foreign language and you're expecting them to speak a second language that they don't usually speak.
So what sort of school did you go to when you were young?
So
was it a Thai school or an international
Yes,
school?
I went to an international school, but we still learned Thai, because it's compulsory. So I guess I was just fortunate enough to learn both the languages.
But even in Thai schools, they learn some English when they're... Yeah, so I get what they're saying. Now, you actually did some research. So how does Thailand rank in Asia?
According to the ranking for English proficiency in Asian countries, Thailand is quite low. So there is truth to what GV is saying.
I think it was near the bottom.
It was near the bottom. It's, I think, 3 or 4 places, only a couple of countries below.
Some of the stands,
Thailand.
I think, were a bit lower. That's about it.
Yes, but I think that you can still find people, Thai people in general are very helpful, so maybe I don't notice. Because if you're on the streets and you're asking for help, most people will still likely try to help you, and they sometimes go out of their way to help you. That's just the Thai nature. So maybe I've just not noticed, and I think that's why many foreigners like coming here. So maybe GV is talking about a very bad experience he's had.
I think also if you buy one of these, there's a thing called Google Translate. Other apps are available. That can also help you a lot if you just put in your message, or you can talk your message in there and it'll talk it in the Thai language, sometimes with hilarious results.
And I think change comes from, it starts from us. If we're going to go to a foreign country, the least we can do is learn a couple of words to survive during there. It doesn't make sense to complain that, oh, these foreign people can't speak my language.
Yeah.
That's not really fair, is it?
GV, you're in Thailand, you're not in Chelsea. So, you're going to find the foreign language here a bit confusing. Also, Thailand, unlike a lot of the other Southeast Asian nations, wasn't colonised by a Western country. So they don't have the sort of infusion of a Western language in their history. All right, moving on. G. Kane. Jay, take note. G. Kane says, Jay, you need a haircut and better styling. Your hair is distracting. Ha ha, sorry.
Is that a real comment?
Yeah, so what's wrong with your hair? What can you do?
Well, it's been a while. I haven't been to the barber yet because, COVID infections are increasing in Phuket. I try to stay a bit more safe, but maybe he has a point.
So I think the point here is that you have set a high bar in an office with quite low expectations in the hair department.
I blame Jet. Jet's the cause of all my hair problems.
Jet has set a very high bar, but in this particular office, because Jet's up in Bangkok, so we've got Jason here who has never seen a comb in his entire life, and I haven't had hair on my head for 20 years. So, 40 years. Yeah. So,
I'm letting the people down. I will fix my hair.
G, you better send a photo just to see if you've got anything you can complain about. This one, we've got some photos here too from Bill. He said, he's from Chiang Mai, by the way. He said, I got my first shot yesterday and couldn't believe I was still in Thailand. Despite some mix-up in my registration, I was in and out in 1.5 hours, including the 30-minute observation period, which ended with my temperature, blood pressure, pulse and respiration being taken. I left with a printed appointment card with a QR code to report any problems. They were super organised. By the way, a bit more Chiang Mai coverage would be appreciated. We've just done a little bit in the last 30 seconds. Thank you, Bill, and thanks for the photos too. How did you go with your vaccination? Super organised?
The second one, yes. The first one was a little bit of a, let's just say snafu from their part. I had to wait about 2 to 3 hours, very little social distancing. Some parts we were social distancing, some parts we weren't. So it was a bit of a nightmare. But the second one was very well done. One thing is people do improve here. It might take a little bit of time, but it happens, and that's okay. Second time, 10 minutes in, out, done.
Yeah, I usually find if Thai people culturally sort of want to get organised, they can become very organised when they want to. They love their paperwork and they can do things really, really well. But on the other hand, sometimes it doesn't quite go so well, and there's a lot of apologising going on and pointing and blaming. But I found my vaccination was quite organised. I've got my second one for AstraZeneca middle of next month.
Good on you, Bill.
So, to another comment, Jay.
Yes, Tim, I have a comment here from Craig who says, Phuket is shutting down as we speak. How is it a model? Now, I've seen a lot of viewer comments suggesting that the Phuket model, Sandbox model, is not working. It should be shut down. We had messages from Mr. KP Ho yesterday who said that Sandbox is very important for the Asian market and that Thailand is leading by setting an example for the Phuket Sandbox of how countries can start reopening. But a lot of the viewers seem to not agree.
Well, there was a lot of pushback. We had a bit of a quote from KP Ho, who is the owner of the Banyan Tree Hotel brand. Yes. And a lot of people saying that he's just pushing his barrow. I mean, he is a very well-known and renowned commentator about the hospitality industry in Asia. And he's well regarded, and he was just expressing an opinion. Of course, I've had quite opposite opinions about the Phuket Sandbox. We've had many debates between me and Bill about the Sandbox both before and during. So I think probably no other media organisation has spoken so much about the Phuket Sandbox. But it's not going well at the moment, but that's not necessarily the Sandbox's fault. There's just been a bit of bad timing with this surge of cases. A lot of the Delta variant at the same time. So I don't think the problem is the Sandbox. Despite its shortcomings, it was a start and people were coming here and are still coming here. Some 200 people every day are still arriving. Yes. So, I think criticism of the Sandbox needs to be measured against the bad timing with the COVID surge.
Yes.
But yeah, he got a lot of criticism yesterday.
Yeah.
And we did too for putting him on. But we'll put on people with different opinions because that's important.
Right.
All right, time for the weather, and then we'll come back and say goodbye for today's program. In Bangkok today, clear skies, temperature of 32 degrees, overcast, a bit of sunshine for the next couple of days. In Phuket, down in the south, and we've got clear air, very clear air indeed, and we've got temperatures of 28 for the next 3 days. Some sudden showers, bit of sunshine, and generally cloudy. The air quality not quite so good in the northeast today. Nakhon Si Thammarat reports temperatures of 31 up to 33 on Friday. Bit of sunshine, some cloud, and a few showers. In Chiang Mai, we've got temperatures down to 21 and up to 32 over the next 3 days. A wet season weather up there too, with some cloud, some sunshine, and a few showers. In the central Gulf Coast, we've got clear air and temperatures between 31 and down to 28 over the next 3 days. Generally overcast, maybe a bit more sunshine tomorrow. And in Bang Lamung, including Pattaya, we've got clear air and we've got temperatures of around 30 degrees, only down to 27 overnight, so humid with a bit of sunshine but generally cloudy. All right, that's the weather from around Thailand and a bit of a quick news wrap up for the entire day. Hopefully it's a good start for your day. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Tim.
Look forward to seeing what shirt you drag out of your father's closet tomorrow. And remember, get your hair together, all right? Get some tips from Jeff.
I can just see the comments already.
But thanks for watching today. We'll be back with another Good Morning Thailand tomorrow.